Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler, who it's a miracle that Ziggy is.
I was about to walk off. Jack's just like saying some absolute nonsense before this starts.
Jack's just a lunatic.
I'm shocked that after a live show yesterday, all in person, Ziggy is still here for a second live show.
I mean
that's quite incredible.
My Amtrak tickets for tomorrow morning. Otherwise, I saw how much it would cost to change. It would have been $230, and I really thought about it. I decided I couldn't do it in good conscience, so here I am. But
so yeah, we get the second ever Ziggy in-person show, and maybe the last. It might wind up being the last. Could you imagine if Jack was sitting in this middle seat here? I don't.
Dude, what are the chances of one day there's a live show with only me and Ziggy?
In person?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out.
I'd say they're about the same as the Panthers' odds to make the playoffs. It's not impossible. It's not mathematically eliminated, but
it just like won't happen.
Boy, howdy.
But unlikely. Well, we also have producer Zach on the show today, who's messing around with his mic. Zach, why don't you say hello? It's been a while. It's nice to have you back.
Banish me to the corner.
Yeah.
It's somebody more important than you showed up. So
that's crazy.
This is, we call that Exile Island. That's what we used to call it when we used to do this show years and years ago. We had Exile Island for whoever was having the worst week. We'd throw him in the corner. And now we're quite literally Zach is in the corner. Right behind Jack. It's pretty funny.
He's making it his bitch, though. He looks good.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good. And can you see, Zach, can you show yourself again? We got the little dolphin statue for him. So there you go. You got your Miami Dolphins, who will be coming up later in the show.
It's a comfortable corner.
Very fun episode today. We're going to be talking about bandwagon teams who are hopping on or staying off of the bandwagon at this point in time. You know, we're talking about teams that now is the time to hop on, not teams like the Bucks. You know, people they've already it's past it. You're either on or you're off at this point in time. Jack's Broncos. I don't know where they fall. Maybe we'll throw them in last second.
They dropped from 7 to 8 in my ranking.
We have some pretty big preview shows. The Vikings and the Lions, and then a really big game. NFC North 5-0 versus 4-1. The Packers and the Texans. We're calling it the Farrington Show Bowl because it's our biggest audiences are squaring off, and it's been a game that we've been looking forward to this entire season. And then at the end of the show, we have an emergency mailbag that Ziggy just put out, and we said ask anything. So I don't know.
That's my type of mailbag.
That is Jack's. That's the kind of mailbag that could end the show.
That's my type of mailbag.
I haven't seen any of the questions. I don't know what's going on.
There's some shenanigans in here. There's some shenanigans.
Ziggy's moderating it, so who knows what's going to happen at that point. And we'll see. Producer Zach's here. Jack, Ziggy, Paul, everyone at once. Could be a wild ride.
We got the spotted cows for the viewers.
If you guys are enjoying this, we had a really, really awesome show yesterday. First live show together. It's gone over 10,000 views. It's our most watched ever, like full episode reaction. We appreciate everyone who listened to that, who's commented, subscribed to the channel. That's been awesome. And if you're new to the show, this is kind of what the vibe is. We just hang out. We talk some sports. We try to be, there's a lot of shows with just guys. Ziggy said, a lot of shows with guys who are in their 20s talking football in the basement somewhere. But we appreciate that people come and hang out with us. And we do the best we can. That's all we can do.
Yeah, we check our biases in the door, except for one person on the show. And then we have fun.
Who is it? You talking about yourself there?
Sure, Jack. Sure.
That's just making sure.
So we had an awesome episode. If you're enjoying this, please continue to leave comments. Whatever it might be. We see all of them. We try to respond to as many as we can. Subscribe to the channel. That'd be great. We're trying to get to 15K. We'll do a little merch giveaway. We're trying to fix the merch store as well. So there's a lot of things coming together at once on the Paul Farrington Show, including trying to move Ziggy up here full time, which it's going to be hard.
If this gets big enough, it could happen.
You never know.
I mean, I will say it's after 2 straight live shows now with Ziggy in person. It's going to be hard to do another show without Ziggy here.
No, Ziggy's philosophy. We're gonna have to. We might have to revisit the contract.
Now getting a taste of him in person, it's tough not to.
It's a little.
You know what I'm getting at there. I don't know if
I like that. Can we talk about football, please?
It's going to be tough to see him on screen.
Lions and Vikings. So,
guys, hold on. Ziggy's in person, right? Yeah. It's your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday, 2026. Let's stray away from football. Let's just goof off a little bit. Let's talk about...
No, that's for the mailbag.
Okay,
all right, yeah, fair. Control yourself. We'll get there. We'll get there. The Lions and the Vikings. Ziggy and I were in the car today. Going to the diner, get some breakfast time. New Jersey diners, it's awesome. And we were thinking about this NFC North.
Get a pork roll.
Taylor ham.
Get a pork roll.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to defend it to death like some people, but it's Taylor ham. Pork roll sounds disgusting.
Taylor ham. Pork roll sounds gross.
Ziggy and I were in the car and we were thinking to ourselves, 5-0 Vikings, 4-1 Lions. Both these teams look really good. The entire NFC North looks really good. Is this possibly the biggest, what was the biggest NFC North game before this one? And we came down on it. I'm not even sure if it actually counts, but the Lions and the Packers a couple of years ago, Rodgers' last game at Lambeau Field to get Green Bay in the playoffs. Detroit was sort of in a spot where they were coming up. It was right before they emerged. Wait, what are you laughing at?
It's funny how that game ended.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, I think if Detroit could, if that was a winner gets in type of playoff type of situation, it would be a little higher up. But
you think this game's bigger than that one? One seed on the line?
It's tough because, no, I'd say right now, actually, probably not. Because that game would have gotten Green Bay to the postseason. Whereas, what is this still week 6?
This is week 7 now.
I mean, this is a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that that was a home game in prime time to get Rodgers to the playoffs, Lions were playing spoiler, I'd probably give that the nod.
It's been at least a season since we've had a game in the NFC North this big.
Yeah, and it's close. Like, this might be bigger. It's close.
The line opened at what? Vikings -1.5?
Yeah, now it's starting to move a little bit depending on your sportsbook of choice, but it's hovering about there.
I think the general public, I guess people are betting on the Vikings right now.
Lions are favored? Lions are favored?
No,
The
Vikings are favored.
So Vikings were 1.5 and moved to 2.5. But that's weird because I feel like the general public has been talking about the Lions. You know, the Lions are crushing people. They just dominated 2 teams in a row. The Cowboys was really just kind of a statement game for them. The Aiden Hutchinson injury obviously sucks, but it feels like Detroit is kind of moving into that we're the best team in the NFC role that a lot of people thought they might take this season. And the Vikings, you know, they're sitting there 5-0 during their bye week. Every NFC North team looks great.
Knock on wood.
But yeah, knock on wood. But also there are some doubts about them. So where we're at right now, Ziggy, let me look over to you here. What are you thinking about the general public view of this game? The Lions being the team that's kind of fulfilling their destiny and the Vikings still hot.
It's funny, right? Because normally you've got like a team undefeated coming off a bye playing at home and you think like, oh yeah, right. This is their
awesome
spot.
Yeah.
But I almost feel better being the Lions coming off 2 blowout wins, right? They obliterated the Seahawks. They obliterated the Cowboys. And now they're probably thinking, look, if we can crush those teams, it's no big deal to go into Minnesota. We're facing who? Sam Darnold? If we can beat Dak Prescott, we can beat Sam Darnold. So I get why people are looking at the Lions as the team that's fulfilling their destiny. But on the other hand, I think it's easy to look at those games and say that Lions defense sure was monstrous. That Lions offense sure was great. Things have changed a little bit. Hutchinson's out, right? There was that horrible, horrible injury. I hated to see that. That was unbelievably unfortunate. Sam Darnold and the Vikings offense is great. The Vikings defense is the best defense in the NFL, I think, by a good bit. They're great against the run.
Let me ask you, Ziggy, when you say that, are you talking about, and because Jack is more of a feel it out guy, you're more of a statistical guy. Are you coming at that from the metric standpoint, or are you coming at that from what you've seen, or a little bit of both?
Both. I mean, DVOA, they're number 1 pass defense, number 1 rush defense. Okay, big stats guy with his numbers. Just watch this team. Right? The Lions crushed the Vikings defense last year. We saw it, right? Jared Goff was great against us. Flores had his like one-trick pony blitzes, and that was it.
Yep.
You've seen this Vikings defense through 6 games at this point, or through 5 games at this point. We know what they are. It's a bunch of young guys, incredibly fast, incredibly confusing, always making big plays. Pick 6 here, fumble there, sack there. Like, Flores is finally unleashed. It's hard not to, like, I don't think there's any question this is the best defense in the NFL, no matter what you're watching.
How do you feel about that, Jack?
So my feeling, so to say, you know, I'm not the numbers guy, but
it's nice that you can kind of just come up here and say whatever the hell you want.
yeah. So
Some of us have to do research. Jack's just sitting around asking like, would you rather questions while Paul and I are trying to research for the show.
Speaking of would you rather, I'll conjure up some good ones throughout the show that I'll ask you guys. I have some good ones that I've come up with recently.
Please don't. Please don't.
So later on in the show, but I'm feeling the Vikings win in this spot. I mean, Detroit the last 2 weeks have looked great, but as good as they may be, right? It's not easy to go on the road, murder Dallas, and then you have a week you go on the road and murder Minnesota. And then in the meantime, Minnesota has had a bye week, 2 weeks to prepare for Detroit. Detroit had to prepare to go into Dallas. Now it's 6 days going to Minnesota.
Look good in Dallas.
Oh, they look great. But I think this is a spot where people will be all over the Lions, not buying into Minnesota, not being super high or believing on Minnesota yet. Detroit is starting to catch their groove. And at home, Minnesota, I think, gets them. Laying the short number, I think I would lay it. I think I'd take the Vikings in this spot. That's my feeling. I think I'm feeling the Vikings this week.
It's been a while. People, NFC North fans who are watching this, or just anyone who's been keeping up with the Vikings and Lions, the Lions have kind of owned the Vikings over their past 5 games. They're 4-1 over the last 5, and the last 3 have really been kind of embarrassing. The Kirk Cousins year, where we were 13-4, we went into Detroit and just got spanked at the end of the year. And then last season, they mauled us twice. I mean, I understand that Kirk Cousins wasn't playing in those games, but it wasn't close. Like, they just ran all over our defense. And this is, as Ziggy said, this is a different Vikings defense than the one we've had 2 years over the last few seasons. Like, very different. But they felt unstoppable at times. And it's, that's where I think the Lions offense is clicking at a rate they haven't this entire season. So for me, it'll be very refreshing as a Vikings fan to see them just get a stop against Detroit when we haven't seen that for a couple of years now.
Let's also not forget the fact and not get caught up in the fact that, and I'm aware, like, to beat a team by 40 points in the NFL is like, wow, it's eye-opening. Dallas is atrocious. Like, they're really bad. I think Minnesota goes in there and crushes Dallas too.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think it's anything to be like, oh, wow, like, look at it against Dallas.
So let me ask you guys a couple questions now on the game. We've sort of felt, given how we feel about it, but Goff versus Darnold right here. These are kind of, similar guys in some ways in that they've sort of been doubted their entire careers, high draft picks. But Goff has now come into this role where everyone basically trusts Jared Goff. I don't think there are many people who doubt Goff at this point. While Darnold is sort of where Goff was a few years ago. He's sort of emerging and becoming a quarterback. Too much?
The place where Jared Goff was a few years ago was he was coming off of going to the Super Bowl, and the Rams traded him like he didn't look good. Like, Sam Darnold has had no success in his career before.
I'm sorry. Yes, Darnold never had anything like a few of the Goff years in LA, but he was traded from LA for a reason. He was struggling. So Darnold is finally kind of not living up to his hype, but he's finally playing well. Period. And I think it'd be dumb to say who do you trust more, because everyone would say Jared Goff. But given the situation where the Vikings defense is the number 1 defense in the league right now, Detroit just lost Aiden Hutchinson. Who are you expecting to have a bigger game from?
I think this is a great time for the Vikings to have a bye because TJ Hawkinson is angling to come back. Aaron Jones practiced today. We'll see whether or not he's able to play this week, but with all of the weapons around him. I'm not saying the Lions offense doesn't have any weapons, but you're telling me like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, a good offensive line.
The Lions have a lot of weapons.
No, I know, but I'm saying like that might be the best room in the NFL in terms of weapons. And Sam Darnold has shown that even against good defenses, like the Texans defense is not a bad defense. He has shown that he can execute at the highest level against them. On the other hand, Jared Goff, very good player, but he struggles a lot when he's under pressure. And while he's been very good against the blitz, and that's worked well against the Lions, or that's worked well before.
Can you distinguish that for people who might not?
Yeah, the blitz is when you send extra rushers after the quarterback. Being under pressure is when rushers, whether you're sending extra guys or not, actually get there. Mm-hmm. When guys get to Jared Goff, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL because he doesn't have mobility. Sam Darnold, he's not the most mobile quarterback you've ever seen, but he can navigate a pocket. He can run. He can get out sometimes. I think our defense is going to be able to get to Jared Goff. And I think because we'll get to Jared Goff, he's going to make some mistakes. And that's going to be what decides the game. Now, I could be wrong, right? But
rarely, but
look, here's the thing. Like the Lions defense total this season, 15 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson is 7.5. Aleem McNeil's the only guy with more than 1. Other than Aiden Hutchinson. Mm-hmm. Like those were guys playing next to Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That loss is so big. And the Lions secondary, they've had good games, they've had bad games, but they have not faced a challenge like this. Right? Having to face Justin Jefferson, having to face Jordan Addison, that's one of the toughest assignments you can pull in the NFL. If TJ Hawkinson gets in there, if Aaron Jones can start running. So I definitely think I'm expecting a bigger game from Darnold.
Can you see this? Can you see what's happening to Ziggy right now? Jack,
he's gonna be heartbroken soon, right?
You can see it, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be heartbroken.
I
No,
love you.
no,
I love you,
no.
Ziggy.
I'm not letting you get me down. What did I say last
we're
week?
optimists.
I said blowout.
We're
what
optimists.
happened?
We're
blowout,
optimists.
blowout.
I love Ziggy.
Maybe there's another blowout brewing.
I also like Minnesota, so you know that you're probably going to be right because I like it.
Yeah, Ziggy and Zach agree.
Look, I'm trying to be an optimist, but I am laughing at Ziggy's fairly new to his Vikings fandom. It's been a few seasons now, and you've experienced a little bit of the heartbreak, but this is sort of the route that it looks like. Like, obviously, I'm playing the optimist card now, but this is kind of what it looks like before it goes to shit. I will say this, we talked a lot of positives about the Vikings. The Lions are arguably playing the best football in the NFL over the past couple weeks. What I'm really looking for is up front that Vikings D line versus the Lions offensive line, and how Detroit's able to establish a run game. Because I said it on the reaction show, Detroit, Baltimore, sometimes Philadelphia, they're able to just, all right, run down your throat. They're able to just run down your throat and enforce
if you know we're going to do it, couldn't you say anything else? Run the ball effectively, dominate the line. Like, there's so many things
they're
you
able
could
to
say.
dominate the line. And when they do,
I'm sorry, I still can't get over the run down your throat. Keep going.
When they do that, though, that's what opens up a lot for Goff, because you talk about blitzing and pressuring him. If Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are going crazy, you have to send more guys because they're too effective. David Montgomery, I know, Ziggy, you were saying you were a little surprised about his contract, but he's phenomenal.
No doubt.
Great. I mean, that 1-2 punch is lethal. Both those guys could be number one anywhere. Jahmyr Gibbs, you guys said, I gas him up too much sometimes, but every time he gets the ball, he's lightning in a bottle. So if the Vikings can't stop that, it could turn into a long day for a defense that, as good as they are and as fun as they are and crazy as they are, if you can't stop the run, Jared Goff will pick you apart too, because it's pick your poison with this team if you cannot win at the line of scrimmage.
What did Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery say? Want to go down as the best 1-2 combo in the history of the league?
They're amazing. They are amazing.
I do think that this Hutchinson loss, though, could prove to be super, super big in a game like this. Because this Detroit secondary, while it's improved, it's still a little bit sus. And without Hutchinson, without any what?
That was funny.
without pressure, if Sam Darnold is not pressured, he can pick this defense
Remember
apart.
we talked about the Packer game? How to get after Sam Darnold? Like, how do you take down this Vikings offense? Make Sam Darnold make mistakes?
But if he's not pressured, he will attack this Lions secondary with the weapons he has. I also saw him this weekend at that USC Penn State game. Like, he was standing on the sideline with his hat, with his sunglasses.
Confidence.
I'm like, this guy is such a beast standing here 5-0. Like, he's the man. He's not going to lose at home.
Do the Vikings deserve to be, before we move on here, do the Vikings deserve to be favored?
Yeah.
I think they do. I hear what you're saying, Paul, about the run game, right? And you're thinking like, well, if Andrew Van Ginkel has to start doing run support rather than doing the kind of stuff he does, that would be disastrous for us. But I think that this is going to go like a lot of Viking games have gone this year. Our offense is unstoppable. It just is. Set aside the times they've been stopped. It's unstoppable. I really think if you can get Aaron Jones and TJ Hawkinson in, again, if they're out, it's a different story, right? What's our depth chart without Aaron Jones? It's Ty Chandler, CJ Ham, and Myles Gaskin.
Yeah.
Not scaring anybody.
Serviceable, but not.
Yeah. And our running offense has been medium, but if you can get Aaron Jones in there, and you can add TJ Hawkinson as a weapon. Johnny Mundt has really impressed me. I'm throwing no shade at him, but TJ Hawkinson is one of the best receiving tight ends in football.
He's our number 2 receiver when he's on the field.
Yeah, if you can add
Jordan Addison is, TJ Hawkinson's the number 2.
Add those guys, get an explosive start, get a bit of a lead going. I think that's been the Vikings' formula to success, is get a big lead and hold on.
For dear life recently.
I mean, and it's for dear life, right? But if you're worried about the Lions' run game, get a lead. Let them run the ball. If they want to burn a bunch of clock doing it, go ahead. So I think that the Vikings are going to get off to a hot start. I think that's going to be enough. And I understand why they're favored. I wouldn't want to be. Does anybody want to go into Minnesota right now? Surely not.
This is a Hawkinson revenge game, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are
You're right.
What are the Hawkinson props out there on these sports books? I might have to hammer them.
That could be.
I don't think we'll see any until we know if he's playing or not.
True. Well, he'll play. I know he'll play. I saw my crystal ball. Who do you think is closer in like, where's the gap closer? Me to Myles Gaskin or Myles Gaskin to Aaron Jones?
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's obviously, where's the gap, smaller or bigger?
Where's the gap bigger?
It's obviously between you and Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin is almost good enough to be the best running back in the NFL. Like we're talking if he's a few percent better, right? He's one of the best. The gap between you and a like remotely serviceable NFL
what do you
running
put
back.
Jack behind
what
the
about-
Lions offensive line?
What about
Then the Lions, yeah. Then Jack's going to the hospital. That's what's happening.
what about me and Caleb Williams, or Caleb Williams and Tom Brady?
I'm not doing this anymore.
I'd say I think you're better suited to be a running back than a quarterback.
I think he's best suited
Yeah.
to be on a podcast, actually.
Yeah. Well, what's the yeah. Well, we'll move on. We'll move on.
No, I think I'd be a good corner. Actually, I can cover people.
No, you can't.
So you guys both have the Vikings right now. I actually, again, taking off my unbiased stat, I would probably say the Lions should be favored. No, sorry, not favored. I understand why the Vikings are favored because they're at home. But I have a neutral party. I would think Detroit is going to win this game. I just think that they're a better team.
That's pathetic for you to say.
No, but I understand why you're saying.
Obviously, I'm rooting for the Vikings, and we clearly can win. But I think Detroit's really, really good.
If you're a fan of a 5-0 team who's playing at home off a bye week, saying, "Oh, I'd pick us to lose," if I was non-biased.
Well, I am biased though, so I'm rooting.
No, but it's on this show. Here's what we do. We're willing to be biased sometimes, but we'll tell you what we really think.
Detroit's. I believe in our team. I have a lot of faith in our team. I would love to win this football game. I think Detroit's playing really well too.
I mean, these probably are the two best teams in the NFL. Based on what we've seen through this point.
I mean, I put Baltimore in there as well. I think Baltimore's playing really good.
They're the two best teams in the NFC, no question.
You know, I have to. I'm going to pick the Vikings, obviously. But
Who's more biased?
I'm just
me or
saying we gotta give Detroit respect.
Ziggy, who's more biased, me or you?
Must be you.
You think so?
Has to be.
You know, the top four teams in point differential are all in the NFC North.
Yeah. Did you see that stat?
Yeah, Vikings 63, Lions 60, Bears 47, Packers 41. Rounding it out. Pittsburgh Steelers 38.
Hey, look at that! Cheers, Jack.
I mean, that's shocking.
That is shocking.
That's shocking.
But that's why this game is so important, right? Is this division is stacked. I mean, I think that is in order. Like if you win this game, you are in a great position to get the one seed. If you lose this game, it's tough to win the division.
But Minnesota in particular, like if they win this game, that's 2 games up.
On the one seed.
Yeah, if Detroit wins this game.
If you told us at the start of the season, week 7 ends and the Minnesota Vikings are 2 games up, not on the wild card, not on the division, the 1 seed.
But then if Detroit wins,
It's too good to be true.
If Detroit wins, you guys are tied. Like this it's huge.
Yeah.
More so for Minnesota.
Detroit could be in last place or like tied for last place.
Actually, it's probably bigger for Detroit.
Okay, so we continue on to our second preview here, guys. The Texans and the Packers. We called it the Farrington Bowl because these are our biggest fan bases. Somehow we wound up.
Can we get a
Green Bay
little
and
round of
Houston.
applause for Texans fans?
Texans fans? Yeah, Texans fans have been great. We really appreciate
Hey,
them.
5-1 those Texans. 5-1.
5-1. Texans fans think we don't like them, and we said, guys, we were on you pretty early last season. I root for the Texans every single week because of the support that we got.
Didn't we run a video like week 6? Could Texans win the division?
I think we did.
I drafted Stroud and Mixon in fantasy because of the support these Texans fans give us. You know, that's seriously why I drafted them.
Yeah. So we like the Texans, and
We really like the Texans this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're really rooting for them this week,
The Wendy's in the Houston airport is fantastic. Fantastic.
and they have a chance to take on the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field, who had their best game of the season, most complete game of the year for Green Bay. They've kind of had flashes of excellence on both sides of the football so far, but this was the first game where you watch it start to finish, and it was like, okay, Jordan Love looks healthy. The defense looks healthy. They were getting after Kyler Murray. All of a sudden, this Packers defensive line that couldn't get any pressure. 9 pressures, right? 9 pressures.
Yeah,
on Kyler
9
Murray.
pressures.
There was one play in particular. I don't know if anyone remembers it off the top of their head, but Rashawn Gary.
He's been a nobody all season.
He just looked like his head was on fire on one play. It's like, all right, if he's playing like that, this could be a problem. But Houston comes into Green Bay 5-1, 4-2. Houston feels pretty comfortable with where they're at. I mean, their division, is anyone really scared of the Colts, who are getting Richardson back, the Titans, Jaguars? Like, Houston's fine. But Green Bay has a lot of pressure to keep winning because as the NFC North continues its onslaught of the NFL, you have to keep up with the Joneses, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a Packers fan, you want the Vikings to win this weekend and just hope that they collapse down the stretch. But no matter which team wins, you're not feeling very good about it.
First division ever through 6 weeks to have every team with 4 or more wins.
Yeah, I mean, this game for Green Bay, knowing that one of those 2 teams, whether it be Minnesota or Detroit, is going to win, this almost feels like it's a must-win game on your home field.
the division, it's for the division itself. It's starting to the arms race. It's really exciting as an NFC North fan, even though you could sit back and go like, "Woe is me! Why is it the year that the Bears, the Packers, insert NFC North team is good? The rest of the division's playing
I mean, you
great."
can't ask why is it the year the Packers are
Who
good.
else says "woe is me" anymore?
I don't know. I mean,
Who says that?
that's a common
woe
saying.
is me.
Woe is me. It's a common
that?
saying.
Have you never heard?
No, I have. I thought that was like an old like.
It is an old saying.
I mean, you're the only person I've heard say that in the last like 20 years.
20 years. 20 years is your entire life, bro.
No, I'm 26. I think I heard somebody say when I was like 6 or 7, but I mean, it's
All right. So anyway, you
What
could have
was
any
me?
NFC, you insert an NFC North team, and they could say, "Damn, we're unlucky that that the rest of the division is good during our good season." But that's where we are this year with the NFC North. So you have to kind of keep winning, and that's why I do think that the Packers, for the division as far as it goes, need to win this game here. Because who knows how far the Lions? I really think the Lions can continue. Their schedule's not that bad.
Yeah, but hey, guess what? The Packers are all healthy. So
healthy,
if you were looking for an angle where there's a must-win game against a big opponent, Wicks is injured. He may or may not play this week. I don't think we've got clarity on that yet, but that's not the biggest loss in the world. Watson's back. The defense is fully healthy. Jordan Love, I think, should really be in the zone now. Like, this team's healthy. They're ready to play, and they get to do it at home.
I was at there's a really cool store around here called Buddy Sports Corner that sells autographed jerseys. You can see the jersey behind us, everything. This is turning into a promo for Buddies. But it's really cool.
Buddies, if you want to sponsor us.
Hey, come on,
Yeah,
buddies.
that'd be great. I mean, we have a ton of his stuff here.
Be our buddies.
But it was, I saw a Jordan Love jersey Jordan Love picture hanging up, and I was like, that could fit the studio. I was like, no. Well, I mean, the dude supports our channel like crazy.
No, Jordan Love does not support our channel. Too. If Jordan Love wants to come on, we'll put a signed Jordan Love whatever up here.
Oh, we'd put multiple signed Jordan Love whatever's up here if you decided to come on.
That'd be pretty cool. So, all right, let's talk about the game itself, though. We'll go to Ziggy first because, Ziggy's more numbers, Jack is more fields. I'm kind of somewhere in between. Ziggy, when we talk about Houston attacking Green Bay, where do you think the advantages are for the Texans offense?
I think there's an easy answer here. And we saw what a difference it made last week. Joseph Tyler Mixon is back. And
wait, hold on. Before you continue this, I do want to point out you hated on Joe Mixon so hard this offseason.
yeah, I did. He looked terrible in Cincinnati last year. He looked completely washed up. I thought there's no way going to a new team is going to revitalize his career. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong.
This guy.
In this case, I was wrong.
Hey, he admits it.
But you've seen the difference for this team when Joe Mixon is in, right? I mean, he's played 3 games this year and 2 have gone over 100 yards. He dominated the Patriots. He dominated the Colts. And CJ Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL against play action. I think he's 7th in the NFL in quarterback rating on play action. And for a Packers defensive line that's trying to get going, that just had a great week against Kyler Murray, if you can get Joe Mixon going and set up the play action, slow them down a little bit. We saw last week, Tank Dell, when he gets opportunities, is he the best receiver in the NFL? No, but he's a solid number 2. Stephon Diggs, obviously a great receiver. There are plenty of good guys to get the ball to who can attack that Packers defense, particularly, I'm sorry to say, Eric Stokes. I mean, Packers fans, come in the comments. You can let me know if Eric Stokes is the weak point or not. I think we all know.
Stokes, he's just out here catching these strays.
No, that's not a stray. That's a direct shot.
It's just there.
But all I'm saying is just if you can get Joe Mixon the play action going, I think that's going to be really hard for Jeff Hafley and the aggressive Packers defense to deal with. So that's my number 1 priority. If I'm the Texans this week, get Joe Mixon going.
And, the Texans, Jack was so kind to share with us before the show started. He said, the Texans are 7th in sacks this year and 9th in the most pressures in the NFL this season. So as they are coming after CJ Stroud, this Packers rush has all of a sudden kind of picked
after
up.
Jordan Love.
I'm sorry?
After Jordan Love.
Wait, what?
Coming after Jordan.
Oh, Jordan Love. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Texans defense is 7th in sacks and 9th in pressures. So yes, as they go after Jordan Love, they're going to... No, the offense.
What are you guys talking about?
The offense. I'm scrapping. I'm going to scrap that. No. The Texans allowed the 7th most sacks and 9th most pressures.
Oh, they're going with the Love.
No, this was your stat.
No, my stat was the Texans defense.
Oh, that's on me. All right, let me read that again.
I think we roll with that. That's great.
Yeah, no, this is what happens. Jack brings in a stat for the first time in his life, and Paul can't do it right.
Yeah, my stat was the Texans D. You know that, right?
No, you did nothing wrong, Jack.
Yeah.
Paul was just so shocked that Jack was actually giving useful information.
But then I heard 7th and 9th. I'm like, no, it was 4th and 10th.
Oh, my bad. That's on me.
It's a
the Texans
disaster.
allow the 7th most sacks and the 9th most pressures. So as the Packer defense is getting after CJ Stroud, that is a spot where he's going to have to be very good. And he is always excellent. So if you're able to establish Joe Mixon, maybe take a little bit more pressure off of a Stroud if you're able to get him out and play action, like you said, and look for those elite receivers. And luckily for Houston, despite having Nico Collins out, you said they have a bunch of guys that can still be a threat. Dalton Schultz. Sorry about that drop touchdown. Would have won Ziegler Zag.
It's one of the worst beats.
Okay. So let's continue on here. And something we should mention about the Texans defense, switching to the other side of things here. Mario Edwards, suspended for 4 games, substance abuse. But they do get back to Nico Audrey, who, despite being 34 years old, I was kind of surprised he was that old. Is just amazing. He's
coming off an 11 and a half sack season.
He's so good at football that this is just another guy on the Texans defense who, as Jack said, the Texans are 4th in the NFL in sack rate and 10th in highest pressure rate.
Can we get a round of applause for Paul reading the stat correctly?
I can read.
I think that's the first stat I've ever provided for the show.
Yes. So I'm going to immediately...
Also, read Jordan Love's QB percentage under
Would you
duress.
like to read it here, Jack? This is your stat here.
I mean, I feel weird reading a stat. I really read a stat.
Go ahead,
before.
Jack. Go ahead.
As we're talking about how the Packer offense versus the Houston defense, these are some numbers to pay attention to. Go ahead, Jordan.
We just brought up the pressure rate Houston provides. 4th in
They can get after the quarterback.
4th in sacks, 10th in pressure rate. And Jordan Love, his QBR versus pressure, 61.9%. His completion percentage, 40.9%. Now get this. With a clean pocket, his completion percentage is 66.7%. And his QBR is 107. So a huge difference, Paul and Ziggy, when Jordan Love is operating with a clear pocket versus pressure. And Texans, top 10 in the league at providing pressure.
So you got to keep them clean. That's what we're saying.
I feel weird.
Yeah.
I feel weird throwing out numbers. I feel like
it's
Ziggy.
important to remember there is a difference between pressure and blitz, like Ziggy was saying. Pressure is actually getting pressure on the quarterback, not just sending more guys after.
Yeah, Jordan Love has been decent against the blitz.
Yeah, and because a lot of Packers fans are very quick to tell us, hey, Jordan Love's awesome against the blitz.
And he is.
Pressure, he is. But
pressure and blitz is different.
Different thing here. So I'll go back over to Ziggy now, since we got Jack's feel as Jack with stats is crazy. Ziggy, when we talk about the Packers attacking the Texans now, are you looking at how are you looking to help Jordan Love out if they're going to pressure him? Like quick passes? Who are we looking at?
Here's my game plan if I'm Matt LaFleur. Get Jaden Reed the ball at any cost.
Not a bad game plan.
I mean, here's what it is. The Texans, they run a zone-heavy scheme. I know they can play man sometimes, but all their top corners are playing zone a majority of the time. Jaden Reed, number 1 in the NFL in passing yards against zone. Mm-hmm. And he can further punish you on zone. If you want to play man, you can play man, but then it's all those crazy motion plays, right? Him getting the ball out of the backfield off a jet sweep or just moving him to the other side of the field. Like Jaden Reed is broken out as the weapon for this team. I know there are other guys around him and they're all good, but he's clearly, I think, the most important guy on the Packers offense. If you have a guy who can cut up zone, who's a threat against man, that makes Jordan Love's job so much easier. And I'm not saying Jordan Love needs like a crutch, but I mean, we've seen it in New York, right? If you're running an offense without those tools, it's very hard to compete. But if you add those tools, you can make a good quarterback great.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen a lot of that from Jordan Love.
And this is where, them being healthy really comes into play here, because now you can't just focus in on Jaden Reed. That's when Romeo Doubs hurts you. Watson hurts you. We'll see about Wicks.
The Packers, too, seem to always have these types of games in their home building.
Oh, you think so?
I feel like they're never really on the road for the right, doesn't it?
Recently, it has been in their home building. I think KC last year was a big one at home. They had the big Bears game to get into the playoffs at home.
Yeah.
Although we did see what they did to Dallas on the road in the playoffs.
I like Green Bay in this spot.
Okay, so you like Green Bay in this game, Ziggy. How about you? If we're looking at early predictions, we're going to touch on this again later on in the week, but early thoughts here. Packers, Texans.
See, we got spotted cows here. You can't pick a Texans.
We're not Texans. We're not Packers fans.
Yes, we are.
Well, Paul.
Yes, we are.
You know the college basketball's back?
Dude, that's his realm.
That's my neck.
Yeah,
of the
college
woods.
basketball's back, and I've got a conference next week. Actually, I'm traveling to a St. Louis University to give a talk on Francisco Suarez on final causation. Yeah, really.
Oh, wait, shout yourself out real quick.
The Billikens.
I'm giving the talk, but the Billikens. Seriously,
the
And Jack,
Billikens, baby.
you know who led?
Say shout yourself out, and Ziggy goes, I'm giving a talk.
Do you know who led the Billikens in steals last year?
Jordair Jet.
No.
What was that, like 20?
Proceed.
Good hustle. No, it was Larry Hughes II.
Okay.
Great player for them. He started almost all their games. Yep. And Larry Hughes II. You know what that second means?
Give it to me.
It means that he's got a father named Larry Hughes.
Good guy.
So Larry Hughes, he's Larry Hughes' son. Hughes' son. That's a sign. The Houston Texans are going to win this game.
Your son, I love it. I love it.
See, if Jack's going to give a stat, I got to give a story.
We got a Ziggy cap on air. We got the Ziggy
So
cap.
yeah, give me the Texans. I think they've got this. It's easy to get intimidated by Lambeau or
So
whatever.
dumb.
CJ, you don't treat Jack like this. Why are you treating me like
No,
this?
I mean just this entire thing.
So
Not
we got
you saying that.
Jack throwing stats and Ziggy giving caps. I mean, this is an all-time show.
Yeah, so honestly, in all seriousness, I love CJ Stroud. I really like this Texans team. And maybe there's a little bit of bias that's telling me that the Texans can go in and win this. But honestly, they're 5-1. They're coming off a great win. I believe in this team.
I don't think anyone would get on you for saying the Texans can win.
Go look at the comments right now. Everybody's on me for saying the
comments
Texans
look
can
at
win.
Wait, would you guys rather have CJ Stroud or Jordan Love for the remainder of the season?
Probably Stroud.
Stroud,
Stroud,
what?
right? No,
Yeah,
I was just saying we asked it last year. I just wanted to see if we're still. I'm assuming we're on the same
Stroud.
spot.
Stroud.
Producer Zach, can we ask you a question?
Yeah.
Like producer Zach in the corner. Zach in the corner is just not even
Zach
like
just taking a nap over here.
not even like looking at the camera. Okay, so you're on Houston, Ziggy. You're on the Packers.
I'm on Green Bay by a field goal.
Wait, didn't you just have a question for me? What happened?
You
the thing
didn't
is-
say his question.
No, I don't. have a
Okay,
question.
Zach, have you tried talking into the microphone?
Yeah, the funny thing is Zach is
I
in the
literally
corner
have the mic up
lying
to
down.
my mouth.
I guess he does have the mic on his mouth. I didn't see that. I just see his feet up in the air.
What are the chances? I guess I should put this show pretty high, but like we're doing a Packers Texans preview, and then we talk about St. Louis Billiken basketball for a bit.
Had to be.
I mean, that's probably pretty high.
Had to
honestly.
be over plus 100,000 for certain.
No, that Ziggy's
know.
the one talking about
And
Billiken
then
basketball.
Ziggy's talking
Yeah,
about it.
like you're rich if you bet on that.
Yeah.
You're rich.
Yeah.
So, okay, Houston, Green Bay, 1-1. I'm leaning Green Bay in this one. I think that if it were in Houston, I think home field advantage is the difference to me. And Green Bay, they got great home field advantage. And this offense is clicking.
They've got maybe the third best home field advantage in the NFC North.
Hey, dude, it's a division of great home field advantages.
I just watched a movie called Click. You said offense Green Bay is clicking.
No. We've done this.
I got to counter Ziggy and go with the Packers.
So 2-1 right now. And we're going to have more coming out on this later in the week. But the initial feelings, I think it'll be a great game, a lot of fun. It's awesome to see two young quarterbacks like this go head to head. And this is their first matchup, right? Against each other? Yeah. Who knows how many times they'll meet over the next coming seasons. But I can't wait to watch it. I'm very excited. Even though I don't root for the Packers, I am very excited to watch Jordan Love play CJ Stroud.
You know what I also could see? I could see a world where Stroud lights the world on fire and Love struggles. And then after the game, Stroud approaches Love. He's like, dude, like, I played in the Power 5, you bum. Like, where did you little sissy boy go to school? Utah State, you don't belong here. And Stroud walks off the field taking his
We're going to go live before these
his
1
ring.
o'clock games, right?
We might. It's a big week. I also think, though, I can see it the other way. I can see it both ways. Like, I can see either quarterback lighting the world on fire.
I could too.
And that's what's cool for these two fan bases, that you have quarterbacks who could do that on a consistent basis. Okay, let's move on here to our bandwagon segment before we do a quick emergency mailbag segment that we did here. Who knows how long this podcast, but when Ziggy's in town, you never know. The technical difficulties that we've had on this show too beforehand. I mean, this is in line to be a long recording for the boys.
Thank God I was here.
But we continue moving. Yeah, thank God for producer Zach. I'm
Can
gonna
we get
put
one
out-
more round of applause for producer Zach finally showing up?
Yeah, look at how hard he is at work right here. He can't put himself on camera because he's lying down with his feet up in the air. I'm gonna put out a video with that.
We got
All right.
a
Gotta stay
fire later.
Hop on or off the bandwagon, guys. 5 teams right now, and we're gonna say right now, okay? that you can. This is the time. Are you going to hop on for the rest of the season, or are you going to stay off?
Because once week 7 hits and you're basically halfway through the season, you can't bandwagon anymore. This is last chance, last train express.
Last ride.
You ever heard their song "Right Now" by Van Halen? Right now, it's everything. Right now.
Thanks for that. Let's keep moving.
We continue moving on here.
Moment.
All right, so hop on or off 5 teams right now. We're going to start off with, I mean, there might not be a bigger supporter of this team
Ziggy.
on earth than Robert Ziggy Ziegler and the Cincinnati Bengals. And they had a big win against the Giants this week.
They did not have a big win.
That's a huge win. Well, if they were 1-5 and you put them in the top 10, I think that Ziggy just, their offense is unstoppable. All right, the Bengals. They're 2-4 right now, Ziggy. They're in the AFC North, a couple games behind the Ravens. AFC pretty open. The wild card teams right now, correct me if I'm wrong, are the Steelers, the Chargers, and the Colts.
Yeah.
Are currently the wild card teams. So Cincinnati 1 behind Indianapolis for that 7 seed. You hopping on or off the bandwagon?
This is going to shock the world. But after being maybe the most fervent supporter of the Bengals up until this point, I'm finally off. And you might say, Ziggy,
after a win.
Yes. Because I'll tell you why. This has been a consistent thing. When you play a bad team in the NFL and you're a good team, you don't need a fluky 47-yard Joe Burrow scrambling touchdown to win. You walk into their building and dominate. It's what Minnesota did. It's what the Bears surprisingly have managed to do this year. Like if you're playing a bad team, you should dominate them. So this was a weird sort of flip where the Bengals offense looked terrible and the defense was needed to bail them out. But I think I've seen enough at this point. They got a win. That's nice. But the Bengals right now, you can place a bet on an unnamed service right now. You can get them at minus 140 to not make the playoffs. I think that is the walk of the century. I'm so out on this team.
We would love to be sponsored by that unnamed service, by the way. I mean, that would be quite great. Incredible.
What about you, Jack? On or off the bandwagon?
I mean, I don't like to do this, but I'm probably on.
Just coward.
I know, but it's just because of the teams that we said were right now ahead of the Bengals in the wild card hunt. I think the Bengals are probably better than those guys.
Yeah, let's walk through this, right? So here's what the Bengals have for the rest of their schedule. It's not in order. They play Baltimore, they play Pittsburgh twice, Philly, Chargers, Cowboys, Broncos, play the Browns twice, and then the Titans and the Raiders. So, like, if you're the Bengals, realistically against that schedule, to be a lock, right? To hit 10 wins, you need to be 8-3. In order to have a decent chance, you need to be 7-4. If you're 6-5, you're out. You play the Cleveland twice. You play the Steelers twice. They're not going 4-0 there. You got to play Philly. You got to play the Chargers, who will come up later in the section. Your Broncos. Are they really going 8-3 or 7-4 against
what do they need to get to make the playoffs, roughly? What are we thinking? 10 wins?
At 10 wins, you're in. 9 wins, it's close.
So they're at 2 right now. Let's pretend they beat the Titans, the Raiders, right? Now we're up to 4. Going to give them 2 for Cleveland?
Nope.
You're only giving them 1.
It's the AFC North.
Okay.
Jack, you know that better than anyone.
Okay, 5. So then you need 5 wins between the Broncos, Cowboys, Chargers, Eagles, Steelers twice, and Ravens. You're not getting 5.
But look what Cincinnati is good enough where they can play up to their competition. Like they can beat anybody in the NFL. We've seen that. They had Baltimore beat, they had Kansas City beat. I think they are, and this is where I kind of agree with Ziggy now. Well, Ziggy from last week. We did a flip here. Like I was off in the Bengals, now I'm on, and Ziggy was on, now he's off. But this team,
you guys are funny.
But the Bengals, when you look at them and them having Joe Burrow, and like I don't think I could pick a whole lot of teams who I think are better than they are. And as we go down the stretch, I think the Bengals that are being on the short end of the stick will start to win these games.
Yeah, no, I'm on. I'm actually on. The more I look at this, I'm on. I'm sorry, Ziggy, I'm on. I don't think right now you can't put them in the top 10, but I'm on.
They really should be 4-2. They had KC and they had Baltimore.
But their record is garbage.
I know. But we're
talking about making the playoffs.
11 games
here.
left.
It's tough to make the playoffs start.
But let me tell you, right now, in
but
terms
you
of
said
making
yourself
the playoffs,
last week, how many teams are better than the Bengals, you think?
Yeah, but here's what you have to do if you're a good team. You have to beat the Giants by a lot. You can't go in and like...
Let me ask you, who do you trust more, the Bengals or the Colts?
I guess Anthony Richardson's back, so probably the Bengals.
Like the Bengals or the Jets.
The Jets have a much easier schedule. I trust the Jets of their remaining schedule.
Well, yeah,
more.
if you trust the Jets more, then yeah, sure. I think, given where they're at, it's horrible. But the teams they're competing with, I think Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm going to hop on. And if they suck, they suck. You know. Okay. The next team we're going to talk about, maybe a weird team to talk about as a bandwagon team or not, but the Philadelphia Eagles are currently not favored to win the division. It's
the Commanders are favored.
It's the Commanders now. So we're going to say where the Eagles have kind of been struggling all year. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked really anything like that MVP form of him that we saw a few seasons ago. But A.J. Brown's back now, and you can see how big of a difference that makes. Devontae Smith is healthy. When these guys are healthy...
Yeah, when these guys are healthy, you can gut out a tight win against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, right. So I'm assuming you're off the Eagles bandwagon.
No, I'm on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I'm on the bandwagon.
I am as well.
I think this Washington team, I think they're very good. Like, I think they're going to have a good year, but I think the Eagles will probably win the division. So that's already going up. And again, we're starting to get to the point where you can look at rest of schedule. Mm-hmm. And it's like, look, they got a couple tough games. They got Baltimore. They got the Steelers. Other than that, you play the Commanders twice, the Cowboys twice, the Giants twice, Carolina, Jacksonville, Rams, Bengals. Oh, that's a snoozer of a schedule. Like, you're telling me if this Eagles team isn't winning 10 or 11 games there, that they're not competing for the 1 seed by the end of the season when the NFC North miserably cannibalizes itself?
I love how you throw Pittsburgh into those hard games.
That's absurd.
Love that. I think they also host us. We're going to get blown out in that game. But I love that you...
Oh, wait, never mind. The Steelers go to Philly. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got one hard game for the rest of the season.
I love how you throw us in that hard game schedule.
We got to clarify on the Eagles. The potential's through the roof, but the team, the way they've played over the past couple seasons, is not anywhere near what we think they could be.
I mean, so what did we say? They barely beat... Here's what they've done this season. They barely beat the Packers. They beat the Falcons by 1 point. They beat the Saints by 3 points. They got blown out by the Buccaneers. They beat the Browns by 4 points. Like, the results up until this point have not been exciting.
Nothing convincing.
No, I think they are ultimately going to click because they've got the talent there, and I think the coaching's eventually going to follow. But really, the only reason
the coaching's going to follow at this point,
I think the coaching's going to get okay.
I don't know if the coaching will change. I'm buying the
Coaches,
talent.
I mean, I guess here's what I'm buying with the Eagles. Of the Eagles, I'm buying the rest of the schedule more than I'm buying this team. But if you do buy the rest of the schedule, I think the division's theirs.
For me, it comes down to just being a pansy wuss, like a little sissy boy. I'm just...
It's the second time.
It's the second time. It's in my head today for some reason. I just don't want to jump ship. Like, I still look at the Eagles like it's the Eagles who made the Super Bowl like 2 years ago. And I don't want
that's right or wrong.
Whether it's like, I don't want to jump ship on Jalen Hurts and just the talent that the Eagles have and what they've shown that they can do. I'm hesitant.
So we're
I'm hesitant.
So we're losers here. We're just picking the Eagles because they made the Super Bowl 2 years.
Yes,
that's not why I'm picking the Eagles.
That's why I'm picking the Eagles.
I'm picking the Eagles because they got some good weapons. They will
make the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs, and I think that by the end of the season, I think they'll make the playoffs and host a playoff game.
Yeah,
I think they win the division.
Yeah, and I think the Commanders are playing better football.
Are you a sissy boy, Ziggy, or are you a strong boy?
Can we move on?
Okay, we have 3 more teams left here. Producer Zach, can we wake you up for this one, Zach? Yeah. All right, Zach's here. The Dolphins. So.
Woo! Fins up, baby.
What are they? 2-3 right now. The Dolphins are 2-3. I actually didn't realize that they beat the Patriots a couple weeks ago. Like, I didn't.
You thought they lost?
No, I just didn't even watch a second of the game. I knew it happened, but I had no idea what happened. Like, who actually won. So the Dolphins won that football game to go to 2-3.
Yeah, it was like 13-12.
Yeah, roughly. Tyler Huntley got the win. Mike McDaniel said Tua is expected to return this season. We're not going to comment on that, whether or not that's the right decision for Tua. Leave it up to the doctors and him. But if Tua does come back, I mean, this is a talented offense. There's a lot of injuries, right? Jalen Phillips, Zach, out for the year, right?
Done for.
Yeah, done for the season.
Done for.
I said after the Bills game, I just can't. I can't do it with the Dolphins anymore. It's too much consistent failure in big games. It's sad.
It's sad
because we're Dolphins guys.
It really
we
is
like
sad.
The Dolphins.
It is
but every
sad.
big game, it's the same story. And at some point, what is it? Insanity? Repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome?
That's obviously not insanity. It's called practice.
Certainly, yeah. I knew Ziggy would disagree with that, but that's what a lot of people
So
say.
you're insane, Ziggy. You're insane.
I practice things.
Wait, so how would you define insanity?
That's a great question, but here's what's not insane: being on the Dolphins bandwagon, because that's where I am. Now, you might say, well, Ziggy, what are you talking about? This team, haven't things gone, Zach, tell me if this is right, haven't things gone about as bad for them as could possibly be through 5 weeks or through 5 games? And guess what? They're 2-3. You look at the remaining schedule, right, by opponent win percentage. It's the easiest in the NFL. The easiest. They've got the easiest remaining schedule. Tua's eventually going to come back. They're in a bum division.
Do we have any idea when?
I don't care if he comes back week 18. Tyler Huntley will right the ship until then.
Cardinals game.
Oh, this team sucks.
The Cardinals game, you said, Zach?
Yeah, that's what.
That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Who would you take, Dolphins or Steelers?
So let's pretend he comes back for the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's the rumors.
All right, let's play into that rumor. Okay, so week 7, 8, Tua is that'd be kind of crazy, but Tua is back week 8. Okay, so we're just assuming they play the Colts next week. Okay, and then you have Tua. They're 2-3 at the moment.
I think they can beat Anthony Richardson. He's playing this week. Beat Anthony Richardson, the Colts. You're 3-3. Now suddenly you're even with Tua coming back against the easiest schedule in the NFL.
And you jump the Colts. You're ahead of the Bengals, so you're in that 7 seed. If they beat the Colts, they're in the 7 seed.
Yeah. No, so when we're asking should you get on the bandwagon, you only have to ask yourself one question: can Miami beat the Colts in Indianapolis? And if you think the answer is yes,
Tua,
you should hop on right now.
But
isn't it crazy that that's just the question?
They can get there. There's a pretty clear path to 9 or 10 wins for the Dolphins.
But here's the thing, though. The Dolphins last year, right? They were blowing out pretty much everybody who wasn't halfway decent.
No, you have to assume they can't beat a good team. So they lose to Texans, Packers, Bills, and 49ers. Done.
Yeah, well, no, but they were
they're not winning one of those.
But they were blowing out everybody who wasn't good. And then, I felt like this was the team in the AFC to beat. I was on them all year long. I had them as my number 1 seed. They should have won the division. Ended up choking. And after all that, they lose by 30 points in the first round of the playoffs.
I mean, they never had a chance in negative one.
But still.
Yeah, they're not winning a playoff game.
But now they're sitting here at 2-3 with an injured Tua. And when Tua was healthy, you barely beat Jacksonville. And after last season, when I thought the Dolphins were the best team in football, how on earth can I back them right now? I can't.
I'm off them as well. I think it's there. There is
you hear the argument.
Oh, I see the argument. I 100% see the path to 9 or 10 wins, and it's possible they'd have to get going immediately. It just doesn't seem the magic's not there. Last year, it felt like there was something brewing in Miami, and this season, despite actually if they win this game, being in the thick of things, it just doesn't feel the same. Zach, are we being unfair to your team?
No, it definitely feels different than last year. Last year did feel very magical.
And what does this year feel like?
This year just feels like a bunch of disappointment.
Is it more?
Wait until Tua comes back, throws a 90-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill, then you'll be happy.
Is it more gloom or more doom, Zach?
I like Ziggy being on the Dolphins. Though. We like the Dolphins.
Oh, I love the Dolphins.
We got 2 teams left, guys. The Chargers.
That was like a cat.
Oh, another Ziggy team.
Another Ziggy team.
So you just made a cat noise with the fin.
Ziggy's noises are getting a little bit better on the show. The Chargers looked really good on Sunday. Very good. What are they? 3? Beat the Broncos.
Oh, hey.
The top 10 team in the NFL.
I'm on the Chargers.
So the Chargers, they finally looked like it clicked for them. They're in the 6th spot right now in the AFC, 6th seed. It looks like as far as Ziggy's schedule goes, it's a pretty light schedule for the Chargers.
Is this just the Paul Farrington show reads the schedules episode?
Well, you know what? I mean, you want to talk about how teams are going to do you said it, Ziggy, through 6 weeks, you start to get an idea of who people are. Schedules matter. Yeah. They do matter. And I know any given Sunday, that's the saying, and it's true. But schedules matter, and Herbert's getting healthier, right? The run game, it looks great. The defense will probably continue to be serviceable in LA. And I think that when you look at the landscape of the AFC, that the Chargers are clearly at this point in time one of the 6 best teams.
I think there's a huge disconnect between the public perception of this Chargers team and the insider perspective. Vegas, the Chargers right now are minus 190 to make the playoffs. They think it's overwhelmingly likely that this team's going to go. But I think if you ask the average NFL fan, is this Chargers team going to make the playoffs? I think they think it's closer to a coin flip.
Because no one watches them. Who do you know who watches the Chargers?
Shout out my cousin Joe. He watches the Chargers.
I watch the Chargers.
Is that Magikarp?
Yeah.
Yeah. Magikarp. Shout out Magikarp.
Yeah, no, but this Chargers team, They blew out Carolina. They lost to the Steelers, unfortunate. They lost to the Chiefs, unfortunate. They beat the Broncos. That's nice. But some of their harder games, like that Chiefs game, like that Steelers game, are out of the way. And now you got a whole bunch of easy games left on the schedule. No, the fact that the Steelers are one of their harder games, it tells you how soft the schedule is.
Well, they can bully, and the thing about the Chargers is they can bully teams.
Yeah,
they're one of those teams that can just physically dominate.
Yeah, they physically dominate. You have J.K. Dobbins in their offensive line.
Yeah, I heard it too.
And then you get Justin Herbert back there, and he slings it, and you win the game.
When you're physically dominated by J.K. Dobbins.
Well, sometimes it feels...
I mean, didn't J.K. Dobbins just run all over the Broncos? He looked like a train.
Sometimes it feels...
He looked like a train.
Yeah, sometimes it feels pretty good to be physically dominated. But most of the time it doesn't. But my take on the Chargers is this.
Glad you got that out.
Thank you, Jack.
I'm on the bandwagon. They played a close game with Kansas City. I feel like up to this point, we haven't really yet seen both sides of the ball, the offense and the defense both kind of gel. Like Kansas City was low scoring. Defense played well. Offense wasn't really there. But Herbert, I think, was still banged up. He got hurt in that Pittsburgh game. Now you go on the road to a team to a team I had at number 7 in the power rankings. A team who was playing some good football, a team who I believe is a solid team in Denver. And they seem to all click and come together on every side. And with Justin Herbert, defense playing well, making a statement in Mile High, it opened my eyes. So I'm on their bandwagon.
Serious question: is there a bigger team with a bigger disconnect between like fact and fan opinion reality, than the Chargers? Is there any team that there's a bigger gap between how the public feels about them and how they actually are?
I'm just looking through teams right now. Probably not.
No, I think the general public thinks this team are bums, and insiders think this team's a lock for the playoffs.
Yeah, I really don't think there is when taking just a brief look.
I mean, in terms of making the playoffs, though, I'm on the wagon.
I mean, Denver has been playing better, so I think a lot of people think Denver sucks, but I'm not.
I think a lot of people think the Broncos are better than the Chargers.
Not this weekend.
I did.
Yeah, well, look, man, the Broncos are not favored to make the playoffs.
I think a lot of people think the Giants are horrible, and they're not horrible. They're okay.
The Giants are plus 1,500 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no. I'm saying I think that. I think that. Yeah, all right. Go ahead.
The Chargers.
There was nothing there.
What was I going to say? I lost it.
It would have been a good thought. So we're all on the Chargers here. We got one more team.
I'm on the Chargers.
We got one more team. Bolt up. The last one.
Make your Charger sound like lightning strike.
That was way better. One team left here, and Ziggy's going to really freak out about this one because I'm looking at the schedule, and it is difficult. The Chicago Bears, who are playing better, much better football. Things are coming together for the Bears, and they're 4-2. This is even when they were. I can't remember what their record was with Trubisky, that really good season where they won the NFC North. Were 12-4. Lost to the Eagles in the playoffs. Sorry to mention that. But this is the excitement around this team feels a little bit more real because that season the defense was unbelievable. Khalil Mack was a beast. They were winning games because they were having crazy turnovers and things like that. And that's how this year sort of started with their wins. But now Caleb Williams is playing really well. Much to Jack's chagrin, Caleb Williams is playing well. And here they are at 4-2 in the best division. Bless you, the best division in the NFL. But they have the toughest schedule remaining.
And when we say toughest, here's what we mean. So they're 4-2 right now, right? Let's call the Patriots and Cardinals wins 6-2, right?
Yep.
Here's the games.
So we need to get to 10.
Yep. You've got your 6 NFC North games: Vikings, Lions, Packers.
Let's say they go 2-4.
Okay, now you need 2 more wins.
Need 2 wins.
Commanders.
Loss.
Probably a loss.
San Francisco.
Loss.
Seattle.
Seattle's on the road.
Yeah.
Can we confirm Seattle on the road?
Oh, no, it's at home. My bad.
Loss.
I'll give them a win. So I got them at 9. I mean, it's there. The path is
there, but that schedule is... this is what's so miserable about playing in the NFC North. You could put the Bears with 6 games remaining in any other division.
Cardinals also is not a gimme.
No, it's not. That was being generous.
Yeah, we're being generous.
Yeah, you put them in any other division, I think they're locked to make the playoffs. In the NFC North, with those 2-4 against that schedule is not even bad.
Wow. So they have the opportunity there for them. When you really consider who's who's in the running for the NFC playoff spots. Let's say right now the Vikings, Lions, and Packers get in, okay? Then you have the 49ers. Let's just say the Eagles, okay?
Yep, sure.
And we'll call it the Falcons. So you have the Seahawks, the Commanders, and the Bucks probably competing for that last spot.
They played 2 of them.
Chicago. They play the Commanders and they play Seattle. So I think Tampa actually is going to get in. I think Tampa's just a very good football team.
You need to be comfortable in the NFC. You need 11 wins.
Comfortable, yes. You could get in with 10. Probably.
I just mean it's one more than the AFC, right? AFC, you need 10. You're comfortable at 10. You need 9. So it's the NFC is just a tough place to be. But I'll tell you what. I've said this time and time again. People always say beating bad teams doesn't matter. And to some extent, that's true. Blowing out bad teams, right? Going in and rocking them, that means something. It is hard to win by double digits in the NFL. It's hard to dominate. And if you dominate bad teams, that is a consistent sign that you will play competitive football against good teams. I'll say it. I'm in. I am on the Bears bandwagon.
I'm off because I believe that we have seen Caleb Williams play the best NFL football that he can possibly play.
Yeah, and the best NFL football he can play is best in the NFL.
I think the rest of his career goes downhill. I think these last 2 games are the best you will ever see him play.
You don't believe that. Why are you saying that?
And you can clip this right now and go back to 5-10 years in the future. I believe those are his 2 best games.
We can go back to it next week when they play the Commanders, or 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you'll see he'll be worse.
So okay, he just checks off for nonsensical reasons.
He just hit his peak, and now he's going back down.
I'm actually off the Bears. I think they're going to be.
That's not nonsensical reasons. I don't like their quarterback.
Yeah, you don't like the quarterback, but I mean, he's completely.
You don't have a
defied.
good reason for not.
I think that was the best game we'll play in his whole career against Jacksonville.
Yeah, okay.
So it was a pretty good game.
So
it was a great game, right?
I'm thinking that as
not
far
a
as
nonsensical
reason.
reason.
You say that you're on. I'm off Chicago. Not that I think they're gonna like fall apart or anything. I just think it's a little too much right now. Where next year, I do expect them to be right in the thick of things, but with the way the NFC is shaping up, I just don't see that spot for them. I think they'll end up around 9 wins and probably a game or 2 out. Like they'll be on the graphic in the hunt the entire season, and they'll be a tough out. They're a couple big wins away from actually getting into that playoff spot. But my guess is for this season, they wind up being 1 or 2 out. So for that reason, I'm not going to hop on.
Because this team's 4-2. They had a lucky win with 2 defensive touchdowns.
No, but they're not that team anymore.
Then they played the Panthers and the Jags.
And they blew them out.
Yes, but congrats. Like most teams would.
That's not true.
Yes, most teams would blow out the Jags and the Panthers.
The Bengals played a closer game with the Panthers.
Your QB played shit for the first 3 weeks.
I mean, the Texans.
Okay, to be clear, the Jaguars have been blown out by 2 teams this year, the Bills and the Bears. They played close games against the Texans, Colts, and Browns. And Dolphins. Right? So to say most teams would, that doesn't seem right.
I think there's a fair share of teams that play a decent game, blow out the Jags and the Panthers.
I think it's fair to say the Jaguars and the Panthers are 2 of the worst. Like they are 2 of the worst teams.
I think it's jumping the gun so heavy on the Bears after this kid plays 1 good game.
To say they might make the playoffs starting 4-2?
Yes, when they're the 4th best team in their own division. Yeah.
If they don't, it will just be because of the division.
Playoffs that's insane.
Where do you how many wins do you think they end up with?
7-10.
I think it's more likely they end up with 9 or 10.
I'm off on them more so than anybody on this list.
Really?
Even more than the Dolphins.
Yeah, I disagree.
I'm jumping. The Bears jumping the gun here is absurd. I think it's super absurd. We're jumping the gun.
We'll have to monitor as the season goes on. All right, why don't we end up the show here with the emergency mailbag? Ziggy, since I can't help myself from reading all the questions.
How many questions do we got?
We won't do them all, but we'll do the member questions and then some of the better ones.
Yeah, let's hear from Ziggy. Ziggy's mailbag.
Yeah, so emergency mailbag. We've gotten a lot of questions on this. So we got one from SASYD3M. We got one from Splinter Cell. We got one from a couple others too I'm probably missing. But they've asked, what odds would you give all 4 NFC teams to make the playoffs? Like for all 4 to make it this
NFC
year.
North teams?
Yeah, no, for all of them to make it in this year.
Oh, man, I'm still sending that number pretty likely.
I think it's extremely unlikely.
All 4 plus 4,000.
It's so hard because these teams have to they have to play each other.
No way.
play, like,
If the Bears get to the
3,000.
10 wins they need, they can only get there really by either beating every other non-NFC North team they play or by beating some of the NFC North teams.
I mean, the Bears can get there by beating. If you beat the Commanders, Niners, Seahawks, Pats, Cardinals.
No, so it can be done, but the odds of them beating all those teams and none of the NFC North teams, which is what you need, really low.
Because it would involve just too much.
It'd be the perfect combination of wins.
It involves too much beating each other.
I'm going to put it like plus 3,500, but I mean, I actually think it's in play. Like, I don't think it's the crazy thing to think. It's just very unlikely. All right.
Another NFC North question, this time from Ryu Hitsuya, 21, a longtime supporter.
He's a
Ryu
boy.
Hitsuya.
He's a boy.
He's a man.
Whose schedule, I take it like whose like current record up to this point in the NFC North has been the most impressive given what they've got on the team and their expectations going
It
in?
is easily the Vikings. Like, that's not even a question.
Yeah, the Vikings.
It's not. Like,
You're rolling out. I get that the weapons are good, but you're rolling out with Sam Darnold and you're undefeated.
but it's like, I'm serious. It's not even close to a question.
Yeah, no,
like where they were to start the year,
Vikings.
the Vikings were expected to finish in last, so they clearly win there. And then the wins they had, Texans, Niners, at the Packers. Like, I don't even think it's.
I'm pretty sure I have Minnesota like 27 preseason power rankings.
It's the Lions would probably be number 2, but I don't think anyone else.
I think the Bears are number 2. You consider expectations.
Sure, but I don't know, man. Detroit has won a couple. Like, the offense has just looked awesome. But yeah, the Packers are probably last on that list, even though they're playing well. I'd put Detroit and Chicago next.
We've got 3 questions from Joe Barry to Gitmo.
Oh boy, here we go.
Here's one. Does Doug Peterson get fired before or after the Patriots game?
That's this week.
Yeah.
After.
Okay. If you're the Colts, do you sit Anthony Richardson to learn from Joe Flacco?
Wait, hold on. The Jaguars game is in London, correct? Patriots Jaguars is in London. I think he's fired when they get back from London, assuming
they lose.
Yeah, if they win, I don't know. I don't think he gets fired if they win.
I'm not sure he's getting fired. Like,
if they lose that game, we'll get fired.
You need an impulse. If he loses that game, the die is cast. But it takes an impulsive owner to fire the coach mid-season. This is pretty early. You're not getting a lot of benefit. I'm not sure that's
coming back from London, going to your bye. That is the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I forgot about the bye. You're right.
So I think if they lose to the Patriots, either way, it's after this weekend.
What if he gets fired on the plane ride home?
I mean, can you imagine firing him in London?
That'd be hilarious.
Like midweek in London.
They might just say
he's there on like a work visa. They just say you're not employed anymore. Get back on your own. All right.
Detained in London.
Second question: if you're the Colts, do you sit Anthony Richardson to learn from Joe Flacco?
Yeah. No. Yes. Flacco's good. Flacco's played well.
Here's how I think about it. Joe Flacco right now, he's junk food. He's like a nice big plate of McDonald's. Delicious. You're happy to eat it. It's a lot of fun, but you feel bad afterwards. Anthony Richardson, he's the vegetables. He's not particular. He's not like the Brussels sprouts of like bacon vegetables. I'm talking like steamed broccoli. He actually might not even get this up to steamed broccoli. Steamed cauliflower. Like Anthony Richardson's the yucky vegetables. Lima beans. Like, it's stuff you don't want to eat, but it'll make you stronger if you just suck it up and sit through it. Anthony Richardson needs game reps. He started like 20 games since he got out of high school. There's no substitute for that. I think you just have to play him.
Wait, so you don't like steamed broccoli or cauliflower?
I don't think those are like the best vegetables. I like broccoli and cauliflower, but not steamed.
Like
roast them.
I love steamed.
I love steamed, yeah.
Roast them.
With a little salt.
Salt. You need salt.
Yeah, you need salt.
That's the key.
Okay, he's Anthony Richardson, but he's a novice. He's unseasoned. No seasoning, just plate of roasted cauliflower.
I'm playing him too for those.
I want that 20-piece nugget and cheeseburger, though.
Jack.
See, this is you don't
Joe
want
Flacco.
Jack making.
I want that 20-piece nugget.
Joe
and cheeseburger.
Flacco's playing really well, but they also lost to the Jaguars with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, he played
They
well.
did lose. No, he did.
Didn't they give up like 30-something points?
Yeah, they did. But I'm thinking with Anthony Richardson, yes, he is the future. If he can play, you got to play him.
Last question.
Flacco's the present.
Last question from Joe Barry to Gitmo. What are you wearing for Halloween?
Oh, that's actually a big question here.
I'm going to be a male stripper. No, I'm going to be a referee. Going to have a ref shirt.
That's pretty lame.
Whistle.
You've been a referee for like 6 years.
Well, that's all I got. I mean, I bought the shirt
Just
for
get
like,
something new.
How about we get some suggestions in the comments?
Yeah, throw it out there. Throw it out.
Yeah,
What
Jack's
should we be for
clearly out of
Halloween?
ideas.
What should we be for Halloween? Give each of us a costume for Halloween. And whoever gives the best one, maybe.
Oh, whoever gives the best one, I'll consider wearing it. If they
that'd be
if they
fun.
throw out a suggestion, I'll
Get
consider
a real
it.
good one. Few more, Ziggy?
Maybe
Yeah,
like
we
the
got a
Riddler.
few more. This is from Jack Quack. This is that comment. For the merchandise store, let's get some hats and a Ziggy action figure.
Yeah, that.
Ziggy
a
action
Ziggy
figure.
action figure
That
would be pretty
awesome.
sick. Do we have him seated at a desk with a zoom camera?
I'd play around with that.
What does a Ziggy action figure look like to you?
I'm doing some kung fu moves.
Yeah.
I got a black belt in Taekwondo.
Or what else we
Does
got?
it have headphones on, Ziggy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to.
This is from John Schmidt, 6271. Is the NFC champion coming out of the North? I think it's more likely that both teams in the NFC championship come out of the North than anyone else who could win
North
that game.
of the field?
North of the field for champion. I'm taking the North. For both teams being in the North, I'm taking the field. I don't think it's two NFC North teams in the
You're right.
championship.
Yeah, for Super Bowl, I'd definitely go with the North.
I mean, talk about 3 of the top 5 teams in the conference right now. So
Yeah.
you're just playing the odds.
All right, this one's from Faj4335. Seattle or the 49ers for the NFC West?
Niners
The
next.
Niners.
Yeah, Niners. This is from Christian Watson. At Christian Watson, there's a big picture of Christian Watson.
Nice touchdown catch last game, bud.
Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah, that looked great. Nice deep ball.
There's a lot of questions here. Packers special teams. It's all special teams questions. We'll go rapid fire. Why do the Packers still have a kicker issue?
Because the kicker can make kicks.
Yeah, it's hard to find a kicker. Why is Jaden Reed returning punts instead of Nixon when Reed's our number one offensive playmaker?
You trust them more to catch
Yeah,
the
He's
punt.
also very fast.
He's the number one offensive playmaker. Should the Packers make a change at the special teams coaching position?
Wait, I'm sorry. I do want to say that with the Jane Reed thing, like I get where you're coming from. It's like having your number one receiver that will change.
We just
soon.
have Antonio Brown return punts.
No, but I mean, Jaden Reed's so dynamic.
He's dynamic
And
with
if
the
he
ball in
gets
his
hurt, you just have Christian Watson do it.
Go ahead though.
Third, should the Packers make a change at the special teams coaching?
Not yet. I think they'll sooner change the kicker than the coach.
I don't know who their special teams coach is.
It's Rick Bisaccia.
Raiders guy.
I'd keep him.
Yeah, that makes Jack's making it sound like he does because he knows Rich Bisaccia doesn't work.
It sounds like pistachio.
All right, this is from Ryan Drescher 496. Do any of Ziggy's students know he's a part of the show? In the past, some students have. Actually, sometimes I remember I was watching a student in class once. He's like scrolling through Instagram reels, and one of our CJ Stroud reels popped up just in the
That's
middle of
really
class. And you looked back, like to see if it, like to double
He
check,
doubled it.
and it was me. I don't know if any of the current ones do, but
It's like an alter.
maybe they do.
It's like
I don't know.
It's like Batman.
If any of them are Packers fans, who knows? This one's from Patrick Cortazzo, 6251. If the Vikings make the Super Bowl, will we get tickets and go?
I mean, yes.
And do you think Packers fans would donate to help make that happen?
I think my prediction. I do actually think that people would donate and help make it happen.
I think they would too.
That'd
Yeah.
be very, very nice. Obviously, no one like that would be completely uncalled for. I would predict yes, but I would 100% go. Yes,
Well, let's not-
I would drop a half the amount.
Let's not kid ourselves. They won't make the Super Bowl.
I think I have a talk scheduled at the APA Central on the day of the Super Bowl, but it's a Zoom talk. So I might be willing.
It could happen. I mean, yeah, I would be there. It will probably not happen again during.
Ziggy's just on Zoom in the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you give me like two best.
No.
Oh, you have a few?
We got a couple more member
Okay,
questions.
yeah, please,
we're
please,
getting close.
please,
We're getting
please.
close. Mercury Road. Elon Musk's SpaceX recently performed a previously unthinkable feat by catching a Starship booster, getting us closer to space travel. So my question is this. Given Elon's success at making the apparently impossible possible, should he take over as the coach of the Chicago Bears, and would that shorten the time to make the playoffs so it happens in 100 years, or is that too aggressive
Dude,
even for him from Mercury Road?
I mean, hey,
Mercury Road. You gotta watch out, man.
If you talk about making the impossible possible, and you're saying Elon Musk can do that, maybe he's onto something.
I'm just saying, be careful, man. Like eventually, you gotta think the Bears. Be careful with the karma. The Bears are playing well.
What's up,
Okay.
Bears?
Yeah, the Packers might find out this year. This one's from James Library, longtime friend of the channel.
Great friend.
Great to see Ziggy hanging out with you guys. He asked about the odds of every NFC North team making it up. We can ignore that. Some fans, because we already answered it.
Love this guy. All right, we're gonna
But
ignore that.
some fans have expressed frustration the current playoff seeding structure. Basically, since the Seahawks had a home playoff game of a losing record that ended with the Beastquake. How would you guys feel about an NBA-style seeding where it's strictly record and tiebreakers and has nothing to do with the divisions?
I would hate that.
I love the way the
Yeah,
NFL's
I
formatted.
like the current one.
Would that be better for competition? No question. It would be much better for competition if that's how we did it. But
Playoff competition.
yeah, but that's not the point, right? It's so much. It's like college football rivalries. You know, you could schedule like the best thing possible, but I want to see these teams play against each other. Like think about how much less this Vikings-Lions game would mean if it was just a game between two good teams.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
no.
I like the division winner
I also
format,
like that I understand that I don't like getting too many wild card spots, but the way it's formatted right now, where the 1 seed actually gets rewarded, you're rewarded for winning your conference. It used to be the top 2 seeds, but now if you win the conference, you get a bye. I like that.
Also, I do think like if there's a case where you win your division and get left out or get like the 7th seed, I don't like that. I think winning the division comes with a perk.
Yeah, I totally agree. One more question. This is from the incredible Bucky 3845. How are y'all feeling about the new kickoff rule? Feels like a lot more kicking in the end zone than actual big
really
plays
stupid.
happening.
I actually hate it. I don't like it at all.
I'll own it.
I don't care.
I mean, I don't really care that much. I thought I would care more. I was kind of wrong. I thought this would be a great rule change. Instead, it feels like basically nothing's changed. It just means offenses usually start with like 5 more yards.
Yeah, it is.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it just looks dumber.
It's weird. Like they don't run till the ball is caught.
Look, I hope the injury.
strange.
I hope there are less injuries, and if the statistics come back, which it seems like they should come back in a favorable light, great. Like I as long as there's a kickoff, like I've said it before, I would even just have a ceremonial kickoff because it's the most iconic part of a football game. But yeah, as far as the rule this year, like I don't care.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the emergency
Good job.
mailbag.
Good job,
Ziggy.
Good job, Ziggy. You run the mailbag. The emergency mailbag. All right.
I don't know why you
We'll,
struggle with this so much.
James Cook's out tonight.
James Cook.
James Cook.
Thanks for
playing
dating
Monday
the show.
right here, James Cook.
What do you mean dating the show? When the show was recorded anyway.
Producer Zach just coming in with
Just crossing in front. You know, yesterday we had so many guys they didn't want to cross down here. They didn't want to cross the camera and disrupt the show. Producer Zach.
Producer Zach doesn't care.
He's allowed. All
right, we'll wrap it up right there. Yeah, look at this. This pineapple here costs $14.
Wrap it up. Wrap up the show.
Paul,
Wrap up the show. Wrap up
Paul.
the show.
I've never seen something cost
Paul.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up there.
Whoa,
Appreciate everyone.
don't give Paul that when you guys are like, oh, we got to make this a silly one, and Paul tries to make it silly, and now you guys are like, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up.
He's talking about the price of a pineapple.
Caught my attention. I don't see.
I need another beer.
How many times have you sat here with that
I need another beer.
pineapple?
No,
I need another
never
beer.
noticed it.
I
All right,
need another
we'll
beer.
wrap it up here. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. We appreciate everyone subscribing, engaging with the show. It's always awesome. There you go. Oh, now we can't monetize. We'll see you later.